and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Emma, and my guest today, as you can see right here, is my friend, Mr. DJ Danny Wayne. Woo!
Hey, Emma. It's good to talk to you.
I know it's been forever, my friend.
It has. I've
Um,
been following you and your interviews, so pretty
oh,
excited to be a part of your team tonight or
well,
today.
if you I don't know if you remember or not, but you and Beth Regal was the ones that got me started doing this. Do you remember that? Way
It's
back when?
been a while, yes, but that's
Yeah.
okay. But you're doing it now, and that's great.
Yeah. So, tell me, my friend, how did you get started in radio?
That's a great story. I went to the Kentucky School for the Blind in Louisville, my
Mhm.
last 2 years of high school, junior and senior high school. And I was really, had been listening to radio for a long time, just on my own radio and loved music, listened to the countdowns. And when I got to the blind school, met a couple of other guys that were really into radio. And Emma, we launched a 1 watt radio station on the campus of the Kentucky School for the Blind. So 1 watt.
Oh, wow.
And
That's pretty cool.
the guys that ran that actually are both still in radio. One of them, Joe Elliott, works for radio station WHAS in Louisville. He's
Uh-huh.
been a part of that station for years. And Steve, the other guy, is in Brandenburg, Kentucky, still working on the radio. So those two guys had a lot of fun with them. And after that, I went to college in Mount Carmel, Illinois, and the
Uh-huh.
radio station at Wabash Valley College was WVJC 89.1. And the instructors there ran that like a professional radio station. And of course, we're college kids, and we're there just to have fun and meet girls.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. But it was a 50,000 watt station, and it really it was a great tool for the college because it brought a lot of broadcasting students in. But while we were in college, as you know, it's costly to go to college, and it
Yeah.
still was back then. And I didn't have a job, so they launched a radio club through the
Mhm.
college radio station, and we as the DJs would go out and DJ, high school dances, proms, things like that.
Yeah.
And we made $25 a night.
That was big money.
But back then, I still remember writing my mom letters and going, "Mom, can I have some extra money?" And she'd go, "Well, what are you doing with this money?" I said, "Well, I'm surviving, But doing that for a couple of years in college, and we really had a lot of fun with it. I mean, we would go uh, East Richland High School, Olney, Illinois. Went over
Yeah.
there when we were in college at WBJC, and that high school had 800 students. So you're talking about today, when you go to a high school dance, there might be 50 people there. So back then, it was no distraction. There was one thing to do. So fell in love with doing that. And then got a chance to help put a radio station on the air in Vincennes, Indiana. It
Mhm.
was WRTB, which stood for Robert Tom Bob, the Green family in Vincennes. They were well known there. And a friend of mine, Rick Patterson, who managed the record seller in Vincennes, he and I had been talking while I was in college, for a couple of years. I'd always call him and say, "Hey, Rick, what are popular songs? What albums are selling now?" And he'd tell me then. And then he was talking to the Greens and said, "You ought to hire this guy." And ironically, at the same time, my stepdad came up from Owensboro, Kentucky, and was managing the construction project as they were building the radio station on top of a hotel called the Executive Inn.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember or heard of the Executive Inn.
Yep, I
Okay.
do.
Well, the top floor there was the radio station. So I remember the first time I visited that radio station, my stepdad said, "Hey, do you want to ride up with the guys? They're taking some equipment up." And I thought, okay, elevator. No, it was outside on a crane with about a 30-foot platform. And I got on. The guy said, "Okay, I want you to hold on here." We got about halfway up, and that thing shifted a little bit, and they're all laughing because, they do it every day. And then he said, "You look kind of scared right now." And I said, Oh, I am, believe me. But that was my first visit to the radio station, WRTB. But that was such a great time putting that radio station on the air. We had a lot of fun. There was a lot of very, very talented individuals that were there. And that really was a great start. And then also at that same time, of course, I knew I wasn't going to make a lot of money on the air, but I was going to have a lot of. So a couple of guys I know, Rick Marshall from Mount Carmel,
Mhm.
Illinois, and Herb Bogart, a guy named Bogey, who was on the radio with me. We launched a DJ program or DJ service there, and we would go out to high schools, colleges, proms, weddings, etc. And it started with cassettes. Emma, do you still have any cassettes?
I do. I've got one. I've got one.
Is it the
And
Partridge Family?
no, I had the LP of the Partridge Family because I was a big David Cassidy fan.
Oh, you were. Okay.
Yes, yes,
That's
I
funny
had,
you would bring up vinyl because the radio station played vinyl at the time.
Mhm.
But Emma, I was working one night. I'll never forget. You know how you've got stories that kind of stick in your mind.
Oh yeah.
I was working on the radio one night. We had just gotten the Eagles Long Run album. I had it on. I was playing, the first track off the album. I
Mhm.
reached across for something, knocked the needle across the album on the air.
Oh no.
The
Oh.
hotline rang and he goes, "Are you okay?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You better not be talking to girls on the phone and not paying attention." So from that point on, I was like, okay, I get the message. So, but vinyl took it was very popular, obviously, then, uh, 45s and albums, etc. And we had launched a unique format of music. We were playing the hit records, but then we would play some songs off some of the bigger albums.
Mhm.
And we really were fortunate enough to break a few things. I along with several other people were like, hey, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
So we launched a few more songs. And of course, Rick at the record seller said, hey, this is really helping my album sales. But then he also would come to us and say, hey, I think this is an artist you might look at. And I remember him
Mhm.
telling me about Pat Benatar. Of course, I'd heard about
Oh
her, but
yeah.
he said, man, her album is selling like crazy. So we went deeper on that album. Instead of Heartbreaker, we did Hell is for Children and a couple of
Uh-huh.
other songs. So we had a little more freedom like that, but it was ran well. It made somebody a lot of money.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
Somebody
at the
got.
time, we were in Vincennes, and then the plan was they were going to expand the signal. So they bought a frequency instead of 96.1 to 106.5. And one of my true friends, Keith Jones in Washington, Indiana, said, "Oh man, you're going to change that format." And we're like, "Yeah, Keith, and we think you would be the great person to be the first one on the air when we switched the format." So he drew the lucky straw, and he was the first guy on 106.5 from Washington, Indiana, when it switched to the type of format that we had. And it certainly got a lot of response. But I think he played AC/DC the first morning he was on. So that was quite a shock, I'm sure.
Well, I'm sure it's like, holy cow, you wake up to that. That's something. Oh my gosh. So, I mentioned that you started a DJ company and then you talked a little bit about it as well. So, how long have you been doing that?
I really started when I was in college, but then it really picked up a lot in the mid 80s when Bogey, Herb Bogart, and I really launched this. And he was very creative, and we put together good systems, and he was very smart about equipment. I remember he and I were on the phone one time talking to a company, and we bought 4 Carver amps, which were top of the line amps. Herb said, let's do this because these are the most reliable. I have never had an amp break down on me when I was working with Herb because of his, knowledge of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we did a lot of fun. We met a lot of people, and sometimes, we'd work on the air, then we go out and DJ a gig, do
Uh-huh.
a post prom, come back, be on the air, do a prom, post, and then collapse. But we had a lot of fun doing it. We really did. And I still today, I mean, weddings, I just DJ'd a 10-year-old's birthday party over the weekend. We had a great time. It was in a house that was valued at probably $750,000. But hey, we went in and had a good time in their living room, which was 30 feet high. The ceiling was 30 feet. So, but going back to Vincennes, a lot of great people. We moved to Washington, Indiana.
Mhm.
Herb was in Vincennes. I was in Washington. So that kind of made me sad because we weren't around each other every day. But
Yeah.
met a couple of other folks. And back then, going from cassette to CD was a significant change.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the sound quality and everything was so much better.
So, Emma, a question for you. You and
Okay.
I talked about this via an email. Can you think of a song in the last 5 to 10 years that you say will be a classic? Like, tell me something from the early days that you really just, if you hear it now, you still go, that's still a great song.
Well, I was thinking about that because like you said, you had sent me an email about that when we was talking off air about this. And there's just so many that would stand the test of time. Um I don't know if you want a particular genre of
No,
music.
I want you to tell me, first of all, tell me a song from the 60s, 70s, or 80s that is just stellar in your mind.
Oh, Stairway to Heaven.
Okay, there you go. So today, in the last 5 to 10 years, can you think of a song you have heard that might survive the test of time for music lovers? I have one in mind, but I want to know yours.
Well, I like a little bit of everything, but I think that Trace Atkins song that he sang, he sings it every 4th of July. It's called Arlington, and it's about the Arlington Cemetery and the you know Marines and the Air Force and
Right.
the military that come home. Don't cry for me. I'm in Arlington, and I think that one will stand the test of time.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like the Leave Greenwood song from early on.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me throw a different situation at you.
Okay.
Taylor Swift, Shake It Off.
Oh no, no,
No?
no. We did. I mean, it's catchy and it sticks with you, but no,
No.
I don't care too much for Taylor Swift.
Okay.
I mean it's kind of like Miley Cyrus and the Wrecking Ball, but I
Yes.
mean, but yet at the same time when she sings Jolene, the
Yes.
Dolly Parton song, I mean the girl can sing. I got to give her that.
Okay.
But so what do you
Uh,
think?
So I guess what I'm really talking about is some things that have, like that Arlington song. I'm familiar with what you're talking about, but tell me something that was on maybe commercial radio or TikTok or something in the last 5 years or 10 years that you think will be a classic like Stairway to Heaven.
I don't think there's any, but
Oh, come on. You've got to have something there in 5 or 10 years.
in 5 or 10 years, well, I'm
In the
okay.
last 5 or 10 years, something that will have a standout like Stairway to Heaven.
Like Stairway to Heaven. Oh, mercy. Well, that was my go-to with Stairway to Heaven.
Well, I know, but yeah, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
in the next 5 or 10 years, that in the last 5 or 10 years that would stand the test of time. Um, I
Okay.
honestly
You
can't
think
think
about
of
it.
it.
We'll do part two on that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So let's see. Well, we covered, so your business, you went from Vincennes to Washington, and then now you're in Terre Haute, right? Is that where
Right.
you're at now?
I was I left Washington in December '89, and to be the program director of WPFR in Terre Haute. Very, very talented radio station. In fact, Bubba the Love Sponge was at that station before I
Yeah.
was, and there's a lot of other talented guys that came through radio in Terre Haute at that time and right after that. So program director there for about 7 months, morning show, program director. And I was fired on a Friday afternoon, walked down to the rock station, 1075 WZZQ, and talked to my buddy there and said, "Hey, I just got fired." And he goes, "Well, okay, here's the deal. You can do this Sunday night, Monday morning, 12:01 a.m. to 6 a.m. Here's, here's where you need to do." So I went from a program director who had just given away front row tickets for Paul McCartney to overnight Sunday night, Monday morning on a rock station. And when I left the station that morning, walking home, it was pouring down rain. And I'm standing at these railroad tracks. This train is going by. I'm getting soaking wet. And I said, I got to do something about this. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I went back to college, finished my 4-year degree. I had spent some time at Vincennes University, took some classes there, but and then, oh, I did, yeah, associate degree I'd already had from Mount Carmel. So went
Uh-huh.
to Terre Haute, worked at WZZQ as the music director, or assistant guy, whatever you want to call me. I had 13 program directors in the time where I went through that radio station. I stayed and they left, and the owner said, "Hey, Danny, the reason I'm not hiring you to be a program director is because you'll have to leave. And I think you can do good with what you're doing." So that was great. A lot of got experience, and again, continued my DJ business, but working on a rock station, you know, uh, DJ music and it is more of a top 40 country request when you're out DJing an event, wedding reception, whatever the case may be. So the radio station wasn't a real jumping point for me to build my business. I had to do it on my own.
Right.
So did that, and then went to another station in Terre Haute. And then in 2005, Midwest Communications came in and purchased several of the stations. They're a top company, and they've got probably 95 radio stations now across the country. In
Mhm.
fact, they own Evansville, WSTO, Wiki, those
Yeah.
stations, and then they own 7 in Terre Haute. So they've really made a dominant presence in the Midwest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, everywhere you turn, they own something. Um, and then I know that Dave Crooks, I talked to him a few weeks ago, and he's got the Lawrenceville station, Lawrenceville, Illinois station. He owns that. He owns some over in Brazil, and I think there's one in Terre Haute that he owns, one or two.
Well, it's actually DLC Media, right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
he has a few stations here, and he has a gentleman who's doing mornings there by the name of Barry Kent. Barry has
Mhm.
been a Terre Haute market for a number of years, and Dave is he's doing good with what he's doing.
Yeah.
And we just launched a new station in Terre Haute in the last few days, 1063 WPFR. And that's the call letters I started in Terre Haute with. Now, I haven't been hired by them yet, but I'm going to start doing some volunteer work with them and helping get that station launched because, as you know, launching a podcast, launching anything takes a while to get people's attention.
It does. It does. And it just, every little bit helps. So, if you need some help, let me know.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll turn it back the other way too as well. So with the DJ business, I invested in a few other things. About 6, 7 years ago, I surprised my wife and bought a 20-foot inflatable movie screen because I thought drive-ins were going to come back and I wanted to do portable drive-ins. She was quite surprised that I bought a 20-foot
I
screen.
bet so.
Yes, she was. I didn't tell her it was coming till it came. So,
Well, it came, and she
yeah, we
goes,
still
"Holy
do
cow,
that. We
Danny!"
do. And you know what, Emma, I would love to do an outdoor movie at the George Rogers Clark Memorial in Vincennes, Indiana.
Yes, That would be amazing.
We used to go down there a lot with the radio stations when they were doing the fireworks, and
Yeah.
several soda companies would donate, bunches of sodas. We'd take them and set them outside the band and just hand them out to people.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of fond memories about that. Also, when I was in Vincennes, I was working for the radio station. I just want to digress back.
Sure.
I was working one night and they said, "Hey, Red Skelton is going to come up and talk to you." I'm 23, 24. My parents introduced me to Red Skelton. So he, comes in and we just sit down and had a conversation just like you and I are doing. He was a very, very easy man to share time with, and he was enjoyable to meet. So there's my connection to Vincennes. But Emma, if you can work it out where we can do a movie on the George Rogers Clark Memorial, we can face the screen to the west, right there by the where the bridge comes across. There's concrete right there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could have a great time.
Oh man, yes, we could. We will have to try and get that done, Danny.
Yeah. So I do a lot with parks departments. I do a lot with some colleges, Eastern Illinois University in Charleston, uh, here in Terre Haute, St. Mary of the Woods College, some of the other schools, et cetera, we've done them with. And that's a little bit different. We have an FM transmitter that we kind of make into a drive-in. So been working with the Vigo County Parks Department for about 8 years on movies. We've had some nice, fun movies out there, and they do themes with them too as well. So um, but that's kind of what I've been doing. Not big into karaoke. One of my crew is going to be working with Indiana State University doing karaoke on February 1st. I'll be his wingman, as I say, help set up the gear, but I'm not a karaoke guy. Have you sang karaoke?
I did a couple times and I
Tell me.
wasn't even drunk.
Well, sometimes that has to go with it. Yeah.
Well, that's
Agreed.
true. But no, I was a friend of mine who is an Elvis impersonator. He did some karaoke at a local bar restaurant type of thing. And
Mhm.
so I was there as support, being a wingman. And his wife come up and he says, and she goes, Emma, go up there and sing so somebody else will go up there. And I said, no, you don't want to hear me sing. But I did. And in fact, I sang Jolene.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. And you just hit it right there, kind of breaking the ice. And that's sort of with our DJ business at wedding receptions. We're always looking for a way to break the ice with people. We do something kind of fun at a wedding reception called the shoe game. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
Okay, here's what it is. Of course, we meet in advance with our brides and grooms, and
Uh-huh.
then we talk about different things. So we say to them, okay, here's what we're going to do just after all the formal dances and the bouquet and garter, if you still do that. And we had the bride and groom set back to back. And then we give them house shoes, like,
Yeah.
fake shoes.
Yeah.
And we have them like, I've got one of your shoes, you've got one of my shoes. And we ask questions like, who's grumpiest in the morning? Who's more likely to turn off the snooze button? And they raise the shoe of the person. Of course, they don't know what the other one's answering because the feedback from the crowd gives them a clue. But
Right.
that's just kind of one of those small icebreaker things that we do. Let people know that it's more than just everybody playing the cha-cha slide. It's what we do between
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah. And that one the duck dance, the quack 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 and I
Chicken
forget what it's
dance.
called, but I call it the duck dance.
Yeah, and
You know.
chicken dance.
Yeah, chicken dance. That's it. Chicken dance.
And I started doing that back in Vincennes. And what we would do is we did a thing called the Circle of Love. And we would play the song Lean on Me by Bill Withers back then, and then went to Club Nouveau after that. And then we would get everybody in a circle and talk about how wonderful it is to have everybody at the wedding. And we'd ask the bride and groom to come out to the middle. And then we would do chicken dance, YMCA. It was a great icebreaker type thing to give people a chance to have some fun. Another thing we do is the anniversary dance, where you invite couples to come out on the floor and we dismiss them by 5-year increments. Get down to the couple that's been married the longest, and then they're out there with the bride and groom and they take a picture together.
Oh, well, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, I hate to do this, Mr. Danny, but our time is up.
Yeah.
We
Well,
have like
Emma,
2
thank
minutes
you.
left, you know. So, and I was thinking about the song in the
Okay.
last like 5, 10 years. Um, and Tim McGraw, Live Like You Were Dying.
I like that. That's an excellent choice. I would have not come up with that until now you say it. And then the lyrics mean a lot too, Sue, as well. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
well, Emma, my website is djdannywayne.com. Please visit it. Find me on Facebook. And Emma, I follow you and look forward to continuing to follow you with what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate it, and I follow you and on Facebook as well. And everybody go out and check on Danny Wayne's Facebook and his website, and call him and have him come and DJ your wedding or your birthday or your graduation or whatever. And when we have the movie night at George Rogers Clark, then y'all come out
Well, Emma,
and
you're going to
see
be there
us.
setting up the screen, so you'll be there.
Yeah.
You're going to
Yeah.
be a part of the.
I'll have the tall part.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Emma.
All righty. Well, I want to thank my guest, Mr. Danny Wayne, and you are awesome, my friend. And thank your wife for me for letting me have you for a half an hour.
You bet.
All right. I'll talk to you later.